Introducing the Open Palm Podcast, hosted by Jerome Shaw. Available today on your favorite podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor.fm, and many more. The Open Palm Podcast, where the host engages his listeners with inspirational messages, motivating themes, and thought-provoking ideas. Topics include: make more mistakes, how much is your value, don't get right, get going, learning to let go, excellence is a habit, and more. Binge listen today. Subscribe today. It's getting excellent ratings. That's the Open Palm Podcast, hosted by Jerome Shaw. You can also find it on YouTube. Make sure you share it with your social networks and connect on Twitter and Instagram at Jerome Shaw. That's the Open Palm Podcast with Jerome Shaw. Available today on your favorite podcasting platforms. Go listen, download, and subscribe now.
So I just got done watching a movie with Brad Pitt, Tommy Lee Jones. The movie is called Ad Astra. Ad Astra. It's about an astronaut journeying to find his father and discover what happened to him. Space project went awry and things were causing trouble on the planet. So he goes off on a quest, a lone voyage. And the movie has many different themes. You know, the theme of a father and son, father who left home and in search of, intelligent life beyond the scope of what we know. And it also has a theme of isolation. The main character, played brilliantly by Brad Pitt, hats off to him for the wonderful performance, spends the majority of the movie in isolation and dealing with this isolation. I really thought about my own times in my life when I've been isolated, where it inspired isolation, where they say from isolation comes inspiration, or like Nikola Tesla, saying be alone, encouraging us to be alone. That's where ideas are born, things are made in isolation. Or what about Rodney Mullen, skateboard genius, discovered himself and really came to know himself and became one with himself and made so many different tricks on his skateboard from being alone, deep diving into his own isolation and finding inspiration that sprang forth from being alone. There's a quote by Blaise Pascal. It says that all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit in a room alone. How does this quote speak to you, my friend? Are there times when you find yourself truly alone? Watching the movie Ad Astra, and I see him in a spaceship with no one, for days on end, weeks, months, and it's all just him by himself. And by the end, he craved a relieval, a reprieve from his solitude. He craved that human connection that he had to abandon for a time as he searched for answers that lay just beyond his reach. He traveled so far to find answers. Often, the answers to the questions we seek often we don't like what we find. There's a heavy burden that can be carried with the knowledge of finding the answers to our questions. Yet we still search, we still seek, and we still venture out. Some of us give up before answers arrive, before we find the things that we are looking for. Some of us don't make it to the answers. Some of us perish before unlocking the puzzle that has plagued us for so long. But if we do reach and answer the questions that we've been searching for, will we ever find satisfaction? Is there something to be said of the person who is committed to purpose, who is forever on the path until they find the answers? Is there something to be said of such a person who would forsake everything, who would abandon family, friends, all in pursuit of the mission? Is there something to be said? Would you salute this individual? Would you find it an admirable trait to be so committed, so convicted, that you would give up everything to gain that which you do not have? Answers to questions. Or would you criticize, would you condemn this individual? Would you say that this person is a monster and that nothing is above family, not even answers to questions? Nothing is above those that we should be loyal to at all costs. What is your idea of this type of person, this type of individual who would forsake everything, abandon everything, and plunge theirself into isolation? Is it a worthy endeavor? I ask this question because I wonder myself, as I am on the path in my life, until not knowing all the time if what I'm doing is right, but believing that it is. As a motivator myself, inspiring others as I am inspired, motivating others as I continue to motivate myself, I realize that it can often be a lonely road. But this is a road that I am willing to travel, even if it must be alone. For at the end of my life, I know that there will be no regrets. I know this because that is my decision. To leave no stone unturned. No regrets. this movie had a very hopeful note, and it inspired me to reflect. It let me know that as long as there is life, there is hope. And even if we never find all of the answers to the questions that we seek, as long as there is life, there is hope. Even if that life is not our own, those that we inspire and encourage in our pursuit, may we live on in the memory of those who knew us, of the next generation and the one after that. May we have done something that at least we found worthwhile. Thank you for listening, my friend. I appreciate you. This has been Jerome Shaw on TOP. That's the Open Palm Podcast here in San Antonio, Texas. The open palm means harmony with the world, understanding our place in the world, using our skills accordingly, greeting the world with an open palm instead of a closed fist. I pray that this wasn't too solemn for you, and that you received an encouraging message letting you know that if you are on a path or on a journey, keep going. I applaud you, my friend. I do salute you, and I respect you for committing yourself to a purpose, from committing yourself to something, because I believe so many of us have resigned and settled for less than we desire, saying to ourselves that it's not worth it. I believe that anything that speaks to your heart is worth it. And I urge you to go for a life that fulfills you. If you resonated with this and gained value, I ask that you consider supporting the podcast by opening your browser to anchor.fm/jshaw, and clicking that little support button is much appreciated, my friend, where even $1 donated goes a long way in making a difference. I pray that the messages on this podcast have made a difference in your life, my friend. And if you are just finding this for the first time, then I'm glad that you found it. It must mean that you are on a journey. It must mean that you are getting closer to those answers that you seek. Be well, my friend, and have a blessed day or night, wherever you are. Take care.
Hey there, my friend. So, you've heard about Anchor, but do you know why it's the easiest way to make a podcast? Well, first off, it's free. It allows you to use creation tools that let you record your podcast right from your phone or computer. It also distributes your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can even make money from your podcast with minimum listenership. It's everything you need in one place. Download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Can't wait to hear yours. Let's see what you have to offer the world.